everyone, and welcome back to Jai After Hours. So, Jai is Jazz Ancheta Interiors, and I'm IDR Jazz Ancheta. Today, we're talking about something that confuses a lot of homeowners and clients. What's the difference between an interior designer, an engineer, and an architect? We often hear questions like, do I still need an architect if I already have a designer? Or who's really in charge on site? And honestly, these are very valid questions. So in this episode, we'll be breaking down what each professional actually does when they come into a project, where roles overlap, and why successful spaces are never built by just one person. I'm joined again by architect Andy, and together we'll be sharing on-site experiences about how collaboration between designers, architects, and engineers make all the difference.
So, hi.
So hello.
So, we'll start first with defining what is architecture and interior design. So, I'll start with architecture. So, according to RA 9266, architecture is the art, science, or profession of planning, designing, and constructing buildings in their totality, taking into account their environment in accordance with the principle of utility, strength, and beauty. What about interior design?
So interior design, so this time we'll be referring to RA 10350. That's the Act to Regulate and Modernize the Practice of Interior Design in the Philippines. So what is interior design? Interior design refers to the science and art of planning, specifying, selecting, and organizing the surface finishes and materials, including furniture, furnishings, and fixtures, and other interior design elements for the purpose of the interior space allocations to suit, enhance, and meet the intended function, movement, and character for which the interior of the building is designed.
So now I'll define what an architect is. It's so long, but it means a person professionally and academically qualified, registered, and licensed under RA 9266, which is the architecture law, with a certificate of registration and professional identification, regulation commission, and advocate who is responsible for advocating the fair and sustainable development, welfare, and cultural expression of society's habitat in terms of space, forms, and historical context. It's so long, but that's an architect.
So basically, what it means in summary is they have to study architecture.
Yes, they have to
They
study
have to pass the board exams,
Yes.
and
And they're the ones who prepares the plans,
yes,
drawings so we can build a house or a
a
building.
building. Yes, and for professional interior designer, as defined in RA 10350, it refers to a natural person who holds a valid certificate of registration and a valid professional identification card issued by the board and the commission pursuant to this act. So that means the same. So interior designers can only be called interior designers if they have studied interior design. They have also passed the board exam. And the reason for this is that the government is also regulating to make sure that all the laws and the building code and safety is also considered for those who occupy the space. So yun.
That's the long definition.
Yes.
But to make it short,
Ah.
the architect and the interior designer, if you need
Kumbaga,
an architect, it's just the house,
the,
but
the shell,
the shell of
yeah.
the building, and then the interior designer deals with the space inside,
Yeah.
how to make the space work for you and the other users.
Galing.
So,
Yes. Yeah,
So,
well, I mean, architect Andy
Yeah.
described it very well. So we deal with everything inside the space.
Yes.
So that means if you start, let's say you have a lot and you wanna build a building
Your
or
home
your
or-
house,
yeah.
the first person you're supposed to approach is the architect.
Yes.
Because they will be the one who will plan for your space, make sure that all the guidelines of the government guidelines, the local
government
building
also.
code, yes, and also the guidelines of, let's say, you're in a association for the
Yes.
homeowners
Oh,
are met.
yeah, and also each lot is different. So, and it's very unique. So,
Correct.
and then
So they refer
they
to the
refer,
TCT actually, for those that build from the ground up.
yes,
So an architect, when let's say you approach an architect for your lot,
yes,
they will need the transfer certificate of title because that's how they will know the exact dimensions.
dimensions, the location,
Correct.
orientation also.
Kasi this happens, I mean, just so you know, it happens that I've heard, I mean, it hasn't happened to us, thank you, because of course we follow all the guidelines. Let's say you build structure and then you didn't have an engineer survey it also.
Yes.
And they happen to build in a lot that was not supposed to be what they're using. So hindi sa'yo yun eh. It won't, at the end of the day, you cannot contest even if you spent everything because that is not your lot. That is for someone else. So you have to make sure that the location is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there, I guess more or less you get the idea of
Of the difference of
architecture, interior design. Now let's
Yes.
talk about the engineering.
the engineers. So once we have the design of the architect and the interior designer, we pass it on to the engineers. So there are plenty of kinds of engineers, and not that much, but you have the civil, which is they deal with the structure, how they make your structure strong and
So protection
for
from
protection from
earthquake, yeah.
earthquakes, calamities, And then you have the electrical, who deals with the electrical wiring,
Computation
Ganyan.
of loads,
Load,
right? So to make sure lang
Yeah.
you don't, to avoid any safety issues in terms
Yes.
of, let's say, fire, di ba? Overloading of circuits. Let's say you put too much appliances and
Yes.
then it's like not computed well. That can be a hazard.
Yes, and then you also have your mechanical engineers. Usually they come in for ventilation in malls most of the time. Escalators, elevators,
And air
air
conditioning.
conditioning. Ano pa? And you have your sanitary engineers also, who deal with the plumbing, the in and out of water.
So that means yung how the water goes in your
Yes,
space and
clean
how
water goes in,
yeah,
and
the gray water drains.
the dirty water goes out.
Yeah. Yes.
So there, just the gist of engineers.
So we'll be talking about when should you hire each professional?
So for the architect, that's when if you want to build a house or you have something that you want to change in your house, and then yung interior design.
So if it involves any structural changes, definitely you need an architect.
Yes.
So that means you have to remove a wall or a partition. You have to check as well if it's structural. If it's not structural, we can do that without an architect. Pero if structural, definitely we don't remove that because again, it's deals with the integrity of your space, of
Yes.
your
If
structure.
we're moving walls, I guess you need you don't guess. You need an architect.
Yes. But yun nga, if of course we check that. That's why we always if it comes to renovation, so that's the time you need an interior designer. You don't necessarily need an architect for that because it's all interior spaces. So, but if we deal with expansion, meaning you want to, let's say, expand your space, let's say higher floors or wider, bigger space, bigger area, you definitely need an architect because we will be talking about structure, yung extension of the roof, extension of the flooring. So that will be structural. But we definitely work together because again, once the architect has the plans for the space, That's the time that we go in and then we put in our furniture, our fixtures, our window treatments. And why is that important? Because sometimes, especially if you have a smaller space, it isn't maximized properly. There are times that we ask the architect, oh, can you move this here, or can you move a wall here, or a certain space there, so that we are able to maximize the space according to what the client needs, diba? So that has happened. Just to give you a more concrete example, um, we have a project right now that we're starting from scratch. So of course we have this is a house, a 3-story house, and the architect already has the shell, so all the wall partitions are there and everything, but we were able to find a way to make the space work better in terms of placement of furniture and also the bedroom, the closet and stuff. So there were some things that we had to move around. So again, these are still on plans. The important thing, that's why you always bring also both the architect and the interior designer at the very start of your project, is we're able to do that without any cost to you. Because imagine this, if you're already renovating your space or building your space, and then you decide na you think that, oh, this doesn't work because, we have to add, let's say, oh, the desk doesn't fit here, or the bed is like in an awkward position. We have to move this wall or something. So imagine if the space is already built. You have to tear down the wall. So that's going to cost money. And if you do that in plans, definitely we can still move things around. So it's very, very important. The planning stage is very important for all of us, to make sure that you're able to build your space well and more cost effectively, because at the same time we study your budget management as well. Okay, so what we'll be discussing next will be, so I know there was a law recently passed, I think last year, where only architects can actually sign your building permits, not a civil
Not a
engineer,
civil
not any
engineer.
engineer. Why? Because it's the architect's role, and that's what they really studied for, how to maximize your space,
Yes.
and all the other factors that lead to where your design will be. Why? Sige, siguro, Andy, you can
Yeah,
give
because
more.
even if the civil engineer knows how to build a house, they don't know how to design a house. Parang they only know how, their job really is to just make your house strong.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's more of the strength, not really like
No, because the space planning, they
Right.
have to make sure that your space is efficient. It's not too big, not too small for you. It fits your lifestyle, it fits your
Correct.
needs. That's why you need an architect, and it's something that's important.
Yeah, so it's important.
Yeah.
Okay, in other countries, and hopefully here as well, what we want really is to work together as professionals. Because again, at the end of the day, to make your space look the way you want it to be, and to feel the way you want it to be, and for it to work also, you need all three. So that's how you make it better when you enter the space,
Yes.
diba? How you feel like when you go through it. Meron yun eh. Like, so we have different spaces. For example, you enter here. So right now we're at the Monarch. Once you enter our space, there's already a feeling that you get once you enter our gallery. And why does it work the way it does? Because one, we designed the space. We have professional lighting. So that means, what's the difference between a professional lighting and that ordinary, let's say, lighting that you buy in the hardware store? That means the colors that you see here will, in the paintings and the sculptures that we have, will not change. Even if you move it into another space, it's still the same color. If you use, let's say, non-professional lighting or ordinary lighting, what we call a color rendering index that's low, which is what they have in the hardware store, that's usually CRI 80, you don't get the same vivid or natural colors that you're supposed to get. So as soon as you enter it, you already feel that. And at the same time, so we have that, we have our music, so we engage the senses. So that's how everything works together. So the light, of course, the painting, the walls, and everything else that goes in here. That's how we make sure that you get to have the space that you want to have. So whether it's a commercial space like this one or your home as well, that's how we make sure that everything feels good the way you want it to be and works as well as you want it to be. And of course, maximizes the space. Okay, let's move on to common client misunderstandings. What are the things that people think, na parang, oh, yung in Filipino, you say, ay, yung architect or yung interior, ano lang yun, nagdo-drawing lang yun eh. Tapos okay na. Pwede ba yung the things that you see in Pinterest, you can just copy and paste to your own space? I don't think so. Because otherwise, all of the spaces that you'd see would be, just the same. It won't feel like you, right?
Yes. So you want a personalized space.
Yes, kasi
One that works for you, one that is
right, designed for you, for your
designed for
lifestyle.
you.
Because for each space, it really differs. Even if it's, let's say, it has the same style.
Yes.
Like we've been doing a lot of Scandinavian. That's
Our
the
favorite.
that's the trend right now. It's Scandinavian, but it doesn't mean that one Scandinavian space will translate into the same space for another client. So that will be different. Why? Because again, we look into your lifestyle, what are the things that you need, what are the storage, di ba? Space requirements, even the decor, the lighting. Again, that's important. So it's not just yung functional lights, meaning the ambient lighting that you have. It's also decorative lights, the mood lights. So, for example, right, when you enter a fine dining space, there's always that more elegant feel to it. Why? A lot of it, aside from the materials that is being used in the space, is also because of the lighting. Because you can have dimmer lights, diba? There's a romantic ambience to it. So that's what we bring in. So it's not just drawing only, because drawing, there's a science to it. Again, that's why both architecture and interior design is an art and a science.
Yes.
So it combines both of our brains. So the left part and the right part of the brain to engage both the science and the art, the creativity. And okay, another thing, it says here like contractors replace professionals. Truth be told, when I started to build our house, I mean, you're an ordinary citizen, you don't know really like what do I need to do to build a house. So we had a lot, and then my husband's friend said, oh, I know this contractor, he has this price, blah blah, and then just hire him, and then he'll be the one to get the architect. Okay, what happened there was, so I was actually the one who designed it, which you shouldn't do. Okay, because I wasn't a licensed designer by at that time. But of course, I already had an idea of what I wanted. So what I did was actually look through some architect portfolios. But in the end, I actually don't remember how we got to it. But in the end, like my friend, the friend of my husband was saying, oh, just be the one to design it so that you can do whatever you want. I really don't advise that. I've done a lot of renovations already in our house because a lot of it did not work. Why? Because I didn't know the standards. While the spacing was good, there were a lot of things that I've eventually changed. So in the end, it became more expensive, truth. And yun, so what I did was play with some software and okay, again, not advisable, and showed it to our contractor. And then the contractor was like, okay, what design of the house, of the exterior would you like? Oh, I found this, on the web. And like, you can just ask the architect that he knows to copy it. So it's basically, he hired like a draftsman. That's what happened. And it's not, It's not
Not
good.
the best, not recommended.
It's not recommended at all. So okay, just so you know, what I've changed right now was the kitchen, which is like, a lot of stuff in the kitchen. The whole kitchen I had renovated already. And also our den, I had renovated again. What were our problems? So just so you know, um, the cabinets were too high. And then some were too deep. You cannot reach the end. Or some were the wrong height. Um, that's for the kitchen. And then for the for the den, for the entertainment, we had a TV there, and then there was like a very very long shelf, which was supported with angle bars and everything. So if you think about it, it's supposed to last long. But when I had our architect contractor, who's our partner as well, look at it, he was saying, "Oh, this is not straight anymore. We cannot repair it because it's not straight. If we repair it, it's gonna be, in Tagalog, nakabalingkoy siya. Hindi siya like diretso."
Ano na siya,
So it's like ganon. And the reason for that is because it was too long. The span was too long. So actually, so there's a lot of things I've already renovated. So that's why, these are the things that, hopefully you won't experience, because again, now we're more open with how architects and interior designers and engineers work as well. And there's a role for each one. There are some things that we may know, let's say, for example, about architecture, but we don't know the entire profession, because that's not my role. That's their role. And the same with the architecture and interior design, and the same also with the engineering. So each of us has their certain role to play, and they will all help you to really make sure that your space works the way it should be and feels the way you want it to be. So, okay, one of my last words is, again, there's a role for each designer, for each interior, the architecture, and the engineer. Respect each other's roles. We all work well together. What's important is how important it is to start early and to plan early, so that you don't rush things, and that's the time that things fail. When you rush things and then realize later on, while during construction, that there are things you still need to improve, and that costs money. Every time you do not plan well, or you think that, oh, this is okay, let's just do this, and then I have to move in already, or whether it's a commercial space or a residential space, it's the same way. Planning is one of the most important part. Of course, we'll later on in our other segments, our future episodes, will be discussing about execution as well, because that's another really important part of that.
Okay, so last words from me. So actually, these things can get really overwhelming, even myself. But that's why people like us, professionals like us, exist to help you, ganun. So it will be less confusing, less overwhelming, less cost.
Yes, actually,
Yes.
it will. You'd think at the start it might feel
might cost
expensive,
more, yes.
but actually, in the end, when you add up everything, and with our experience,
Yes.
and how we budget things, because again, we don't just design. We design for something practical, because at the end of the day, if we design something that you cannot afford, then the design fails, right? So we don't want that. So thank you again for watching our episode. And if there's one thing to take away from today, it's that great spaces are built by teams and not individuals. So interior designers, architects, and engineers each bring something essential to a project. And when everyone works together, that's when great design really happens. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more design insights and behind the scenes content. Thank you for listening to Jai After Hours. We'll see you in the next episode.